It's that time of year again, when the consumer is expected to add to the bottom line through making purchases in the spirit of the winter holidays. Most corporations knowingly run in the red throughout the majority of the year and rely on the consumer to bring their ledgers into the black, starting from Black Friday through the end of the year. It's a game where popular media tells us that the one who buys the most wins. The current winter holiday season is unfolding against a backdrop of severe and widespread economic strain, fundamentally altering the festive experience for a significant portion of the population. Escalating prices, a trend that has persisted for several years, have eroded household budgets, leading to an affordability crisis that is forcing countless families to make agonizing financial choices. The necessity of these difficult decisions marks a stark departure from previous years, with consumers increasingly priced out of purchasing habits they once took for granted. While economic reports may show inflated consumer spending figures, a closer analysis reveals a deceptive reality. These higher figures are primarily a function of consumers paying more money for the exact same volume of goods, or even a reduced quantity, rather than an increase in real purchasing power. Crucially, a significant portion of this expenditure is being defensively redirected toward holiday gift giving, which is often viewed as a non negotiable expense for parents and family members. This protected spending on gifts is being offset by deep and painful cuts in other, more discretionary holiday categories, including new apparel, seasonal home decor, and entertainment activities such as dining out or attending events. This economic hardship is not uniformly distributed across the socioeconomic spectrum. In a striking demonstration of inequality, the nation's higher income households appear largely insulated from the affordability crisis. They continue to maintain their established spending patterns and routines, seemingly unaffected by the inflation and budgetary pressures that are crippling middle and lower class income families. Their sustained demand on and unaffected consumption rates and habits create a profound disconnect and mask the true extent of the economic pain being experienced by the majority. Adding another layer of cost pressure to the holiday season is the impact of current trade policy. Tariffs on imported goods are directly translating into higher retail prices, effectively imposing a hidden holiday tax on consumers. Conservative estimates suggest these tariffs are adding an average of $132 to the total gift spending of the average American family. This cost increase is particularly pronounced in categories heavily reliant on imports such as electronics, various types of apparel, and holiday decorations. Retailers have, to a degree, attempted to absorb a fraction of the tariff burden to remain competitive, but this effort has its limits. Ultimately, the bulk of the increased cost is passed directly onto the consumer. The most noticeable price hikes are consistently observed across high demand items, including popular electronics, winter coats and outerwear, and children's toys. And a tangible sign of consumers looking for cost saving alternatives, some shoppers are making practical substitutions, such as opting for more budget friendly real Christmas trees over the now more expensive artificial imported alternatives. This shift underscores the broader trend of value seeking behavior driven by constrained household finances. Despite the impressive sounding headline that the National Retail Federation sales projections could top $1 trillion dollars for the first time this year, a closer look at the raw data and comparative figures reveals a much less celebratory economic picture. While a $1 trillion figure is certainly a psychological and symbolic milestone, the actual year over year growth rate is decidedly modest or, depending on the inflation adjustments, effectively flat. When factoring in the current rate of inflation, which has significantly increased the nominal cost of goods across nearly every sector, The marginal increase in dollar volume suggests that consumers are buying fewer items or at least smaller baskets of goods to reach the same or slightly higher dollar total. This trend points to a potential cooling in consumer confidence and a necessary shift in spending priorities, where rising costs for necessities like housing, fuel, and food are eclipsing discretionary retail purchases. Therefore, while the headline number provides temporary cheer, the underlying reality is one of strained household budgets and minimal, if any, real dollar growth for the retail sector. President Trump has recently pivoted his political messaging to squarely address economic concerns, particularly the persistent and rising cost of living, a shift clearly driven by widespread voter frustration. With millions of Americans struggling to cope with soaring housing costs and persistently high grocery bills, economic anxieties have emerged as a dominant theme in the current political landscape. Recently, the former president claimed his previous administration was directly responsible for measures that lowered prices, presenting a stark contrast to the current economic reality faced by many families. While acknowledging the public's financial pain, he dismissed the term affordability itself as a con job by the Democrats, framing the issue as a manufactured political talking point rather than a genuine economic challenge. This rhetorical strategy appears aimed at deflecting blame from his own policies while simultaneously undermining the current administration's approach to the economy. The White House, in response, has highlighted its ongoing efforts to mitigate inflation and reduce costs for consumers. A key measure currently under consideration and generating significant attention is the potential easing of tariffs on specific food imports. This policy, they argue, is a tangible step toward lowering prices at the checkout counter. President Trump, however, has appropriated the tariff bill issue, asserting that his proposed tariff adjustments and trade policies are the true path to relief. He stated that these actions will make America affordable again, suggesting that a return to his protectionist economic framework is a necessary remedy for the nation's financial woes. This juxtaposition sets up a clear economic debate between the two political camps, one advocating for targeted trade adjustments and the other for a broader shift in trade policy as a solution to the affordability crisis. The escalating rhetoric signals that the economy and specifically the pinch on the American wallet will remain the defining battleground of the current political cycle. We need to remember the effect we are experiencing in the current economy. No amount of deflection and rhetoric will change the fact that consumers have lost a significant amount of their buying power. That's all for this week. Until next time, remember, your voice is vital. Stand up, speak out, strike back. They don't know what they started. If you appreciate this content, please like, share, and subscribe. For updates, ring the bell. Your support truly helps the channel.